I am a school-based clinician as well as a clinician through the Employee Assistance Program. Okay. So today we're going to be discussing mental health in the workplace. We are going to discuss what specifically EAS is and how and why it can be such a beneficial resource to have available in the workspace. Okay. We're also going to talk about the signs that can point out an employee is struggling with mental health. And we're going to also talk about how to communicate your concerns and offer them support, as well as how managers and supervisors can be proactive in the workplace in prioritizing mental health. Okay. So, mental health is having a specific impact in today's world just due to recent global events, so COVID-19 pandemic, as well as social and political unrest, and the present economic strain. Addressing mental health remains an ongoing challenge, and it is important that we are working diligently to ensure that everyone has access to the care and support that they need. And we all spend majority of our weeks, majority of our time at work. So it's really important that we're making sure that we're providing our employees and coworkers that support. So what specifically is Employee Assistance Services, and why is EAS a beneficial resource in the workplace? So EAS is a program that's provided by your employer and allows employees to gain access to free and confidential counseling. So the only real difference when it comes to EAS counseling versus long-term typical counseling services is that EAS is short-term solution-focused treatment. So, we have specific, we're really focused on specific goals in treatment, and it's usually about 3 to 6 sessions. So very short term compared to long-term counseling. EAS can work to bridge the gap to long-term services, as well as help connect individuals to additional resources that they may be needing. So as an EAS clinician, I work with clients to stabilize as well as to build their resilience and confidence in coming up with solutions to their present concerns. Okay. And if at any time anybody has any questions or wants to pop in and say anything, please do. So if an employee is having any performance concerns while at work, EAS can provide the additional support that that employee may need in working through challenges and or barriers presented within the workspace. This could mean challenges with their coworkers. This could mean concerns with tardiness. This could mean taking frequent days off of work. This could mean having challenges with their schedule and a wide variety of other concerns, or challenges in their personal life that may be impacting their ability to bring their best self to work. So this could mean food insecurity concerns, housing issues, as well as relationship concerns, literally anything. I have been in EAS specifically now for about 3 years, and I have heard individuals come with such a wide variety of concerns. But if an employee does not have their basic needs met, so if they're having housing concerns or food insecurities, they're not going to be able to thrive in the workplace. So our goal is to really work with that individual and help support them with whatever they're going through, making sure that they're, again, connected to the right resources to help them better thrive in the work environment. Okay. So the employee assistance program clinicians can work to connect employees to a variety of different resources. So these community resources, like I mentioned, could be related to food and housing insecurities, as well as working with um, additional community resources. So behavioral health services north. At BHSN, we have a wide variety of programs that can be very beneficial to EAS clients. So we can help connect them to BHSN for further support, as well as Department of Social Services, JCO, Clinton County Mental Health, North Country Behavioral Medicine, as well as, obviously the hospital if they are needing medical attention, or, if they are actively in crisis and needing, immediate support from CVPH, as well as Champlain Valley Family Center, and additional inpatient and outpatient substance use facilities, and a number of private practitioners. So I've made these connections in the community and can very frequently am referring clients out to these resources. So how can we specifically identify that someone is experiencing mental health struggles in the workplace? So the first I would say would be a change in their work performance. So a decline in their work productivity, increased errors, procrastination, any changes in the way that they typically would work. Behavioral changes, so any type of withdrawal, irritability, or frequent mood changes, depressive symptoms of any kinds, as well as physical signs. So we're talking about noticeably fatigued, changes in appearance, increased tardiness, or just not showing up to work at all, calling out, so on and so forth. Any major communication concerns, so struggling to communicate their ideas, more forgetful. Those could be signs of lack of clarity and overload from anxiety, depression, or increased stress in the workspace. Okay. As well as any interpersonal concerns. So a coworker or employee that typically gets along with everybody, and all of a sudden is having conflict with coworkers, kind of out of the blue, not really getting along with anybody in the workplace anymore, experiencing a lot of tension and conflict, and or reduced ability to cope with stress in the workspace. Okay. And an employee expressing any negative feelings would be another way to obviously identify that there's something going on with that employee. So if coworkers are openly communicating that they are struggling, it's important that we're obviously listening, taking time to listen. What can we do to prioritize mental health within the workplace? So first and foremost would be having a work atmosphere that is mental health positive. This can help employees feel comfortable in speaking up when and if they are struggling, as well as having frequent discussions regarding EAS as a resource, and encouraging contact to EAS if someone is needing additional support, and even having EAS contact posted, around job site for easy access for employees when and if needed. That can be really helpful. I know a lot of our contracts do have the EAS flyer with the number posted in a common location, common work location, whether it's the lunchroom or staff hangout area. That would be really important. as well as regular check-ins. So whether you're a supervisor or not, so supervisor or other coworkers, just slowing down and scheduling times to check in and connect in general. Just connect. We're at work 40 hours a week. We're working with the same people. So if you're a supervisor, scheduling that time with your supervisees, even if it's just to say good morning and, have a good night in the afternoon when you're leaving work. Um, and for coworkers, just kind of starting small talk with their coworkers and just kind of doing quick check-ins. Offering flexibility can be another way to prioritize mental health in the workspace. So, offering flexible working hours and the ability for employees to take breaks throughout the day when needed can be really helpful in reducing employee stress and burnout. And last but certainly not least, identifying helpful trainings to have staff be involved and engaged in to help bring awareness and assist employees in recognizing mental health struggles and how to provide support to their coworkers and how to prioritize self-care for themselves. So you recognize that there's a concern with one of your employees or a coworker. Now the question becomes, how do we discuss these concerns? How do we go about bringing up a concern? So I think it's the most important to utilize sensitivity, being empathetic and respectful when confronting the person, and approaching a conversation in a very supportive and non-judgmental way. Kind of thinking, if you were having mental health concerns and if someone was to address or were to address you, how, how would that be well received by you? What would make you want to open up and talk about your struggles? And kind of thinking about that when deciding to initiate a conversation with someone that's struggling. So, preparing for the conversation rather. So, being prepared to identify specific examples of concerns that you have. So, choosing to have the conversation in the appropriate environment. So, making sure that it's a private and quiet setting, away from any distractions, and also, not around other people, would be a first step, as well as starting with understanding, like we talked about, being very empathetic and respectful, expressing care and concerns for the employee's well-being. So not going about the conversation saying, you are not doing this, you are not doing that, but I'm worried about you. I'm concerned. I wanted to check in. Is everything okay? I've noticed some changes. I'm here to be a support and listen. um, Kind of shift to a non-judgmental stance. Obviously, listening, so giving space for them to speak and to speak openly without interrupting. So just being a listening ear, just giving a listening ear, offering support. So exploring possible solutions together, not kind of, leaving them to figure it out all alone, but just providing them possible solutions, providing resources, providing them an EAS handout if you have one readily available, and the EAS number. And if you're a coworker, offering to go with the individual if they need some support to talk to a supervisor, or whatever you can do, whatever the employee is saying would be helpful in that moment for them. Being respectful of that individual's privacy. So, not sharing info with anyone else, obviously, in the workplace, not, spreading rumors or going to talk to another coworker and being like, oh my gosh, you'll never guess what so and so is going through. That's quite obvious, but does happen. So, just being mindful of that. And then following up. So, checking in after the initial conversation. And this again goes for both supervisors, managers, anyone who is in, that supervisory space, as well as coworkers. As far as, supervisor goes, scheduling a check-in after initial conversation, and just asking, hey, how are things going? Did you follow up with the resources I provided? Is there anything else I can do to be of assistance to you? Um, that could go a very long way in the workspace and help someone feel very supported. So, to conclude, I know it wasn't a super long kind of conversation here, but again, EAS is a very important resource and can provide a lot of support within the workplace. And the goal is to support employees with any concerns that they're having, but also help employees retain employees. So helping companies to retain their employees can assist companies obviously in saving money and time, right? Because it takes time and money to hire and train new employees. So that's a huge benefit there. And also being more aware on the signs that can indicate an employee is struggling, and like we talked about, just going about how to go about communicating concerns and offering that support. And the general ways that mental health can be prioritized in the workplace. And I see it as a way of really being proactive, because really being proactive and being able to create an atmosphere that is mental health positive and friendly will really have so many benefits. So, yes, that is really all I have for everybody. Thank you so much for sitting in with me. And does anyone have any questions, concerns?
Emily, I'm not sure if, I'm sorry if you already mentioned this and I didn't catch it.
Yeah.
But how many sessions in average do you think for employees or, a BHSN when they need to require some counseling or some sessions? How many sessions do they have the average?
Yeah, so typically we offer the 3 1 hour long sessions or 6 half an hour. It is a case by case basis. If we're making great, strides, and I have, an employee with me and, they need 4 or 5 sessions, I'm certainly not going to turn that away from them. So it's really dependent. Typically, we like to say, like I said, 3 1 hour, 6 half an hour, but I would say again, very dependent on the specific individual and the case.
Emily, can I say something?
Absolutely.
Also, you can use EAS as many times as you like, but it has to be for a different reason each time you come back.
That was my next question. Thank Debbie. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had many clients that have returned. And what I mean by that is they've come to me, they've exhausted their 3 or 6 sessions. And then 3 months later, they've, come back. A couple months later, they've come back and they've come for a different concern that has come up, and they're just needing to have additional assistance in that moment again. Any other questions, comments, concerns, anything at all?
Yeah, I'll comment. I'm Allison Hurd. I'm from SUNY Plattsburgh, and we have what we call an EAP program.
Yeah.
So same thing. And one of the things that we talk about is also being sensitive to what a person might be going through in the moment, right? So we also realize that some things that might be happening either at the state level or the national level might be impacting people and their families. And then also thinking about the fact that we are in what might be more of a traditional season of Easter, right, for some Christians, but other people might be celebrating it as Passover, or other people, we just finished Ramadan. So also being keenly aware of other like either family or religious commitments that people have that could also be causing stress, especially if they want to maybe be in two places at one time. So I appreciate everything that you mentioned.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you, Allison. And also to piggyback off of what Allison had mentioned about just individuals and their families. Everybody is struggling. I feel like, you know, there are so many concerns that are happening specifically right now. And I think that it's important to mention that family members can also utilize EAS services. So keeping that in mind, that if someone in the workplace is coming and utilizing employee assistance services, their family members also have access to treatment. Any other questions?
I actually wanted to just throw this out there. I'm new to the area. Me and my wife relocated up here in February. And my wife actually finally decided to use EAS, which she's going to take care of next week, because she needs, you know, her mental health provider is still in New York City. So being that we're unfamiliar with the area, it's a good resource because she's going to be able to go and they're going to help her find a provider that she can work with to continue her mental health treatment while she's here in Plattsburgh. So I'm actually grateful that this service is in place. I really am.
It really helps to bridge the gap for a lot of people. I mean, if you go right now to all of those mental health clinics that I listed in the PowerPoint, and you try to set up an initial appointment, you know, most of the time, I will say that there's a wait list. And when utilizing EAS, you could kind of get on that wait list and you could utilize EAS sessions while you're waiting for a long-term clinician. So it's kind of, you know, bridges that gap and provides support in the moment, instead of kind of like, nope, like no availability, can't get in to see anybody for a month or two. So it's a huge, it's great when it comes to that as well. Yeah. Anyone else at all? Has anything to add?
All right. Well,
Okay.
thank you, everyone. We got right to
Thank you.
right to 12:30. I'm putting in the chat the link for the forum for the next one. We'll be with Bonnie Black, who many people may know. She's been in the air for a long time, a very long time worker here at BHSN, and she's going to be discussing suicide in the workplace, which is a heavy topic. But if you've ever been in a situation like that, you can quite imagine it's one that needs discussion. So the link is in the forums office. The event, it's already set up, and the meeting ID code is in the response you'll get from the forum. And so, and this next time it'll work perfectly, I guarantee it. There will also be a recording of this we'll send out for anyone who wasn't able to make it, or if you'd like to share it with anyone else. So thank you all for coming and being a part of this. Thank you so much to Emily for a wonderful job done.
Thank you,
Thank
Emily.
you so much. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Have a good day.